A very good afternoon, Aparna.
Good afternoon, sir. Really great to meet you finally.
Very nice to see you. And first of all, a lot of congratulations from my side.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
So nice, Aparna. It's very good interacting. In fact, when I got your message the same evening, I actually expressed my thanks. Very few students immediately acknowledged, and you immediately acknowledged. It was a great gesture on your part.
Definitely, sir. There's no way I could forget your contribution. Your classes were extremely helpful. I would say that is the only reason I could face the optional papers with so much confidence. So
That
I do owe it to you, definitely.
you are being nice to me. Nice, thank you. But it means a lot. Actually, it gives, you know what happens when we are preparing all of you for the exam. At times, we are also in two minds how things are going and what more we can do. At least that goes on in my mind. I can't tell you, even in my dreams, sometimes I'm thinking that what else I'm doing for the in the classroom. So when you guys qualify, then we know all know how economics is. Oh, that reminds me, Aparna, great to share both the alumni with you.
Actually, yes. So that's a very big, pleasant coincidence.
Very pleasant. And actually, when you said Hindu and Delhi school, I said that's great. You know,
I know.
people making it.
Really glad to meet you finally.
Right. So, how life has changed a little bit, Aparna, in the last 2 days.
A little. The feeling is still a little surreal. Initially I could not believe it. I would have checked my roll number 3 or 4 times to make sure it's really me. But
That
my parents are really happy, so I'm happy seeing them being happy, so it's
right.
great.
Right. No, that's that what you said earlier about checking the roll number twice or thrice. That's typical economics training. We are so used to being,
Verification.
duped in the paper that those micro papers and all. When you come
I
out
know,
of
I
the exam hall, then you realize, my God, what I read was something else.
know.
So
Really.
nice.
Really, I can
So,
connect to that.
in fact, just asking you because this program that we run, Aparna, the purpose is not at all any promotion. All right, no point on that because we know that when students qualify, you yourself talk the truth. So in any case, there is no point that. So that is not the purpose. The purpose actually is that when I was teaching, and I have been teaching for some years now, the maximum confusion students have is on certain questions, and they take the qualified person's word as very important.
Awesome.
I'm sure you would have seen those videos too, and we all go through that in our process. Even though I didn't go through this journey, but I've been a part of many students' journey in this process. So the purpose is that to make sure that students get the correct picture, because especially our subject, in economics, people are scared a lot. I'm sure you would have had your share and take sociology and take political science and all those talks. So my idea of conducting it, in fact, when I was told that you were going to come, I said, then let me talk to Aparna. I would love to meet her once. We have never interacted in that sense, so it will be great.
It would be great, really.
Because I know you have been my student, but online system creates a situation where you are my student, but you can see me,
We
I
don't know
can't
each
see
other.
you. That
Exactly.
happens at times. So I wanted to see you, and it's actually a very pleasant experience meeting you and interacting with
Thank
you.
you so much.
So
You're also very kind.
no, actually I mean it. I feel very elated when I meet you guys after you have qualified because I know how much pressure this journey creates.
It is
So
a really arduous one.
this is what we will try doing in this whole video. What we will try doing is that we will share your journey and your experience. Especially my focus will be on optional because economics optional students get very less number of people suggesting things to them. So I want to add one more to that list that you should also suggest things as you did as you went about it. I will first of all we begin with it. So, in this toppers talk, we are bringing to you Aparna, who has been an acquaintance, a student, and a wonderful soul. I have had a journey of going through, and she was so kind that when the result appeared, she informed me, and I saw it at midnight, and I didn't even realize it's midnight. I sent her a reply saying that it's great to see you qualifying. So, all that happened, and it was actually lovely. So, thank you, Aparna, for doing that and being a great student.
Thank you
Again,
so
I
much.
will begin with some questions one by one. and you can always tell me how it goes. You know, normally we are not insistent at all that there should be any institute etc. whose name you need to take. You can just speak from the heart. That's all
Sure, sure.
that I want you to do. So, Aparna,
Absolutely.
when did your preparation begin, and how did it begin?
So, sir, technically speaking, I started preparing for this exam 3 years ago.
Okay.
So I had been working. So a little bit about myself. I've done
Please,
my
please.
bachelor's honors from Hindu College, Delhi University, and my master's from Delhi School of Economics. After that, I got a campus placement, and I was working as a data scientist for 3 years in Bangalore in a firm called Brilio. So it so happened that when I was working, I had attempted this exam twice. So I would say the first attempt was more or less to understand the flavor of the exam, to really figure out, whether the hearsay or the topper's advice would really convert to clearing the prelims. But
Right.
clearly, it did not. I very quickly understood that this is an exam that has a very specific demand, and unless there is focused preparation, there is no way you can clear it. So after that, I attempted it once again the following year in 2019. There, I think I made a lot of systemic mistakes in my approach towards prelims. So I was in the habit of blindly doing mock papers without really evaluating where I was going. So there, I missed prelims by a small margin. Nonetheless, regardless of the margin, prelims lost is 1 year lost.
Near loss.
It's a lost cause. So it's around that time I really realized that I need to give one dedicated attempt at this exam. Otherwise, I won't be at peace. So that is why I decided to resign my job. Since January 2020, I've resigned my job and I've been preparing full time for UPSC. And thankfully, the journey has ended for me. The cycle has broken. And
Right.
I'm really, really grateful to a lot of people that who helped me, including you, sir. That
Nice. Thank you. In
that it
fact,
was.
that is what. So, for all the candidates who will be listening to us, just to simplify and in a gist, if you go through Aparna's journey, she had been a successful student because getting into Hindu College, Delhi University means the score in 12th would be good, and we share the alumni, so I know that atmosphere. And then getting into Delhi School of Economics, well, you have it, because again, I have been a student and a teacher over there, both. So I know again how it goes. Getting into Delhi School and surviving Delhi School, doing well,
Actually,
because
getting in is
initially
easier than getting out from DSC.
it kind of gives you a shock when you get into Delhi School. First 2 months are like, where have I come? And then you gradually get acclimatized. So that was all going great for Aparna. And if you see, then did you get a campus placement, Aparna?
I did. It was a
Great.
campus place.
So that was a campus placement, and she got a nice data analyst job. And then, it came to her mind that she should go for a UPSC preparation. And as she very candidly expressed, that she did not go for it seriously the first time, and hence she didn't clear it, the prelims. Second time, she went for a small marginalized preparation. What I want to actually express by all this is that, as Aparna also correctly says, that you need a dedicated preparation, that you need dedication for this exam to prepare. So if somebody tells you that XYZ is a method to prepare, don't go by that. Rather, go with your dedication in the exam, and that actually helps you out. And here you are, 2020 January, Aparna starts her journey in a serious manner, and 2021 September, we are talking to her. She is a qualified candidate, and the journey is now gone. As that, it's what her aim was, she has achieved. So that's great, Aparna. One thing that is a connected question, Aparna, before I take you into the technical preparation topics. So when the prelims were not happening, especially the second time, how would you motivate yourself? Because I see many students who get very demotivated, and we have to motivate them that don't worry, and it's all a matter of time. So how did you keep yourself motivated?
So, sir, frankly speaking, I myself knew that I had made a lot of mistakes that I should
Good.
not have. So, I think the motivation came from the realization that there is still more I can do to better my performance. So, first attempt, like I said, I was insincere on a lot of accounts. I had not even revised properly. I did not take adequate tests. So that was anyway a big lesson for me, that there should be an apt balance between revision and mock tests to actually get through this exam. In my second attempt, I would say it was mostly my work schedule that ruined my plans. Because coming from the consulting industry,
Yeah.
it's really difficult to find a fixed number of hours to study every day. This is not to say that you have to quit your job to prepare for UPSC. I may be a bad example, but I do understand that a lot of candidates do have financial obligations and cannot leave their jobs per se. I would say if you can find a schedule where at least you can dedicate some number of hours on a consistent basis, it can still work out. But to say what my mistakes were in my second attempt, like I mentioned before, I did not really strategize well. So I was in the habit of attempting all 100 questions during mock papers, and I got great scores in my mocks. And what happened on the actual prelims day was two things. The paper was significantly more difficult, and I didn't know what to do. And secondly, I was a little intimidated by the paper, and my strategy to deal with it was to attempt less questions, and that did not work out. So one thing that I should have realized is that I was getting great scores in my mocks because my accuracy was bad. So the right thing to do would have been to attempt more questions. So last time I attempted only about 70 questions, and this time I did that calculation, figured out my right cutoff where I get a good score, and this time I attempted more than 90 questions, and that has paid off for me. So regarding my motivation, it was identifying these systemic mistakes to make sure that I don't repeat them again. So that realization is what really motivated me to give another attempt.
Great. So that is actually a very clear answer again, that if you are not succeeding, then rather than getting demotivated, find out the basic right reasons, that what were the reasons that success did not come this time. And once you find the reason, the diagnosis is correct, then you can always get the solution without any doubt. Very, very correctly said, Aparna. Very correctly said. That, rather than getting demotivated, it's more about finding out that why you didn't succeed. Ideally, Aparna, what would you suggest? I know that quantification is not a good idea here, but still, ideally, what will be a minimum number of hours that would be needed for this exam? On an average, obviously, we all have our ebbs and flows and so on. But what will be the normally average number of hours you expect a candidate to put in, or you put in for that matter?
I would say, like you correctly said, sir, it depends from person to person. But personally, on an average, I think I used to put in about 6 to 7 hours every day. There were days where I've studied about 10 to 13 hours. There were days I've studied less than 3 hours. But on an average, it would be around that much. But
Yeah.
I think the more important thing that we should be focusing on is how many times we revise.
Great.
So I think before each stage, I was able to revise the entire syllabus about 3 times. And that is necessary because this is an exam where there is also a factor about how much can you retain. There's so much information that we have to filter what to retain and what to let go. So continuous revision is the only way to deal with that. And I think the number of revisions you do is what is more important. Whether we do it in 3 hours or 8 hours is relatively insignificant.
That's again a very good advice. And thankfully, Aparna, you spoke the truth, and you correctly said it, that that average 6-7 hours, but then average 6-7 hours mean that some days you can have a great day in the office and you can go 12 hours, and some days can be bad and you can have 3 minus. So that's actually what happens with students, and that's what everybody should understand, that is normal, happens with all of us, that it goes like that. So that's correct. That preparing it for with respect to this exam, 6-7 hours will be needed, and revision is the key, as you correctly say. That once you have revised the things times and again, then it's always a good idea, because internally, I think it's programmed that okay, these are the more important ones and the less important ones. Coming to one more question that I had for you, Aparna, that economics as an optional takes a lot of time. I know you had a great background in economics. You are from Delhi school, but then we both know that Delhi school trains us very differently as compared to what UPSC does to us, because Delhi school is more mathematical in nature. In fact, we used to joke at Delhi school that it's IIT's first cousin. That's the joke we used to have in our days. I don't know what you guys did to cope up with that sudden thing on maths that would come in. So, how did you adapt? That is changing from a mathematical sense of doing things to going more descriptive. And how did you prepare for your optional? Like, what was the basic idea? Like maybe the books that you referred and so on. So if you could just please let us know.
Sure, sir. So you're absolutely right. UPSC economics optional is a totally different ball game compared to whatever training we've had in the past. But I think it's a wonderful paper. The syllabus is very extensive. Almost the entire honors course is covered in the span of one paper. So it's a very extensive paper. And what I realized was both these papers are significantly different from each other. So paper one, for instance, we know is a very conceptual paper. So
Right.
unless we really understand what the models entail, what are the nuances, there's absolutely no way we can manufacture an answer in the exam hall. So and paper two at the same time is very factual.
Yeah.
So it's the challenge there is to figure out what are the facts we have to retain and what
Right.
we have to let go, because we cannot remember everything. So once we understand this, I think that is the first guidepost for a preparation strategy. Because nowadays there are a lot of toppers notes which toppers are very generously provided online. So
Yeah.
a lot of even my peers were also in the habit of downloading these and studying from them. But here, I think what I did differently was that for paper one, since I realized that it's a very conceptual paper, I decided to read all the basic books myself. And I wanted to prepare my own notes for paper one simply because of the fact that we know economics optional is mostly composed of graphs. And if we look at topper's notes, what we see is only the graph. And the point is, the topper would have internalized the entire 10 pages that explain the graph and would have made that in his or her notes. So, but if we don't read the backstory and we just look at the graph, we don't really understand what's going on. And
Absolutely.
that way we miss out on a lot when the actual question comes in the exam. So I think there, reading the basic books is the only solution. We have to read basic books for paper one. And regarding which books I referred, I would say there are three books that are almost to be read cover to cover. One was H.L. Ahuja for microeconomics, Troyan for macro, and Salvatore for trade. These three books I almost read cover to cover. And I made my own notes and I made my own graphs so that I really understand what I've written in my notes.
Right.
And there were three or four other books which we have to read topic wise. So there was Bhatia and Musgrave for public finance, and Thirlwall and Jingan for development. But these are not books that are to be read cover to cover. There has to be a juxtaposition with the UPSC syllabus, and we can really filter out the topics that we should be learning. But this was mostly how I approached paper one. Now, I think a bigger challenge for me was paper two, because I think I'm a person who is generally a little poor with remembering facts, and paper two is full of facts. So here also, I think a little bit of strategy does work,
Oh,
uh, and I think there's a good portion in paper two that is economic history. And a smart way of approaching this paper is to possibly choose more questions which are less subjective, where there is less current affairs, because as we know, the people who correct the papers are subject matter experts. And it's smarter to leave little room for subjectivity as much as we can control it. But of course, the choice also means that there are 10 compulsory questions we have to attempt, and they
right.
always contain current affairs motivated questions. We can't avoid them, but we can minimize the subjectivity is what I can say. But here, I would say the biggest guidepost in paper two is previous year questions. And here, sir, I think I have to say you were the biggest source of motivation for me. Your sessions really helped. They were actually questions I could replicate from memory from your classes in paper two. And you were my savior, I would say, for paper two.
That's very
Uh,
kind of you.
but it's actually true, because there were in fact there were two or three questions that were repeated directly verbatim from the previous couple of years, and I could attempt them really well. Another thing I would say about paper two is a place where, since it doesn't really matter where you read facts from, this is a paper where we can actually rely on toppers notes. So I would suggest read some book like Uma Kapila. They are wonderful books with rich content, but we can supplement that with previous year questions and toppers notes. So this is what I have to say regarding paper one and two specifically.
That is great help, Aparna. That's actually great help. In fact, that's what ideally you and what again what you said is what I would also agree with entirety in entirety. That exactly this should be the process. that even when I teach you all, my focus is that micro, macro, and international economics, it should be entire books covered. And that is why, it takes me more time to cover these three topics in the classroom, as many people would notice that. And for money banking, for public economics, you have to be a little smart. You have to check into the past years, is what my experience suggests, and then see that they have a trend of asking questions, and rely a little bit on reading. And one more thing I liked a lot from your side was that knowing that models doesn't help, going into depth is what is needed. Even this year, if we see when they were asking a Kurno, or when they were asking, Romer or technological models, they were asking the details of it rather than just flimsily touching it. So that is another very good point you made, that, get into the details of the model, and that helps actually in getting a better deal. This will surely help eco people a lot, because, this is the way to prepare, that make your notes and make sure that these topics are well covered. In Indian economy, Aparna, did you use things like Yojana and survey and all, or did you use the summaries of these?
No, sir. I made sure that I read the survey cover to cover. Because there are, even if we cannot find direct questions from them, when we attempt any current affairs motivated question, there are very specific pointers that we can take from the survey and budget. So I think every economics optional aspirant should go through the survey and budget cover to cover. Summaries can guide, maybe we can use them for revision, but the right thing to do would be to read the real documents, the actual BEAR Act. I did not use Yojana per se, but I did watch a lot of current affairs videos specifically for economics. I followed a couple of newspapers for economics, like Mint and Financial Express, just to enrich my content.
And mainly, would that be on their opinion pages, kind of, when you read
yes, only the opinion pages. Only the opinion pages.
Right. So you were following verbatim. Now people will have some more faith in what I say, because these are the things I keep telling people. But sometimes, the way market is, people are told you should read EPW and you should read 3 newspapers and whatnot. So I don't think
that is impossible.
That's impossible. Yeah, I mean, you will need 5 years to prepare then for your first attempt. There was just a connected thing, Aparna, that I wanted to ask. That, when did you begin with your answer writing practices? I know that you had one basic serious attempt was this one and you qualified. But how about that answer writing practice, both for GS and optional?
So the GS answer writing practice, I would say before prelims, I used to follow the free questions that we used to get from coaching institutes. There are institutes which publish 2 or 3 questions every day. So right. I used to take them up. I used to attempt these questions, peer review, look at the answers that peers were posting. And I got into the groove of answer writing even before prelims. But I did not write a lot of questions every day. Maybe a couple of questions per day is what I did. But after pre, I joined a full-length test series from a couple of institutes. And then I started timing my answers. And that is where I realized my time management is very poor. And I really struggled to complete the paper on time. So I had to do a lot of back-to-back papers to ensure that I was finishing all 20 questions on time. So I would also advise all candidates to figure out where their weak areas are. Is it the expression of the answer per se, which I think can be corrected before pre, because that is something that is difficult to correct after pre. So I would advise them to write a couple of answers at least every day, if that is the issue. If time management is the issue, I think it can be managed between pre and mains. But of course, the earlier the better. But it's not like we should start writing from day one. We would not know anything significant to write in our answers. So figure out a cutoff date where you feel that you're comfortable with the prelim syllabus, and know that we have enough facts which can help us write a good answer, and then we can start answer writing slowly and pace up as time passes by. Regarding optional, I started answer writing practice for optional only after my pre, between my pre and mains. And I should also say your classes really helped me, sir. The previous year questions, I use them as an anchor actually to branch out and think about what other questions can come from the same area. Usually we see that there's a model, and every year different aspects of the model are being asked. So that's also a good thought exercise. We can create mind maps and
Yes.
understand what are the uncovered areas which are
Yes.
potential questions this year. So I did that and I wrote my own answers. And I didn't join any test series per se for optional, but I found a kind professor who was kind enough to evaluate my answers. And
Yeah.
I think a mentor is important at this stage.
And in fact, just to ask you one thing, that I think structuring is what people should also just a little bit more be bothered about. If the answers are structured well, I think they can fetch more marks than usual.
Absolutely.
In
I
fact,
think that is where the mentor's role also comes into play.
True.
A mentor is required who
true.
can review.
I agree with you. In fact, just one more thing, Aparna, that did you think that economics as an optional was helping you? Because I have this feeling, but I have not corroborated it with my students. So today, since I'm meeting you, and even if I've corroborated, it has been in a private talk. But since we are recording this and students will benefit from this, do you think your training in economics, and especially for your UPSC optional preparation, was in some ways helping you in things like paper 3, paper 2, parts of it, social issues and all, or writing an essay? Like, did it occur to you, or is it, because you don't have to necessarily agree with me there, but did it occur, or is it just my thinking that it happens?
No, sir, it absolutely is helpful. There's no doubt. Especially for GS2 and GS3, I never specifically prepared for those subtopics. Though they were there in the syllabus, I knew that it was a subset of what I was doing for paper 1 or paper 2. But one thing that we should be careful about, I feel, in general studies papers is our answers should not look very specific. So I consciously try to tone down the specificity or the technicality of the answers that I was writing in economics for GS papers. And that realization actually comes with practice. And again, when we get a feedback from our mentors, we can do some sort of course correction to ensure that we are not veering off track. Speaking of essay, personally, I did not attempt an economics essay simply because I felt that I tend to get more technical, and that is not what probably an evaluator is looking for, only regarding the essay paper. So I prefer to write a little more on abstract topics, and that is where I felt I could express more freely without getting into very technical details. So, but again, that's a personal choice. Everybody did not feel that way.
Right. And are you a reading person, Aparna?
I love to read. It was one of the hobbies that I mentioned in my DAF.
And how was your interview, Aparna? Whose board did you get, and how did it go?
It was Mr. Manoj Soni's board, and it was a wonderful experience. It was a very, very cordial interview. It did not even feel like an interview. It is not. It's a personality test, and it lived true to its name. And it was a very natural discussion. I felt like I was talking to my college professors. They were very friendly. Whenever I could not recall some fact, they in fact prompted me and helped me to answer the questions well. My questions mostly revolved around my DAF, my hobbies, especially my work profile, because data science nowadays is a very hot topic. So
Right.
there were a lot of questions regarding AI, big data, ML. And of course, there were some current affairs questions also, but nothing too outlandish. It was all mostly things that we see in our headlines. There were questions on carbon tax, IT rules. These are all current events that we've been reading in the newspapers for the past 1 or 2 months. So
So
it
it
was a
was
very
a very
pleasant.
cordial atmosphere that you had.
Very, very, very. There are a lot of misconceptions. I think, especially there are some after some mocks, there are people who get demotivated, thinking that it's a confrontational experience. Absolutely not. I've not heard a single person say that. They're actually there to make us feel comfortable. They understand where we are coming from. We are only children in front of them. They have
True.
more
Very well.
experience at how old we are. So it's not at all that kind of an experience. They're very friendly, very helpful, and we should not go by the rumors.
Good. And how far did you find that that entire discipline that kind of Delhi school inculcates? I am sure that must have, because I still owe a lot to the place. I still feel that a lot of discipline I derive is because they force us to be disciplined. The scare of failing otherwise.
Actually, I think that is the biggest lesson because DSE gives us a lot of life lessons, even more than it teaches us economics.
Yeah.
So I feel that after we walk out of DSE, there's this fear of failure that vanishes because we've already been beaten so many times that we feel like one more is nothing significant. So that is there, but of course, in my optional also, though, like you rightly said, the approach of the optional paper and DSE are different. Nonetheless, DSE does inculcate in us an analytical mindset, which also helped me in my job when I was working. And also in the optional papers, it gave me the ability to discern the questions, to understand the demand of what is being asked, and possibly to give a little more nuanced answers. So definitely, DSE played a very instrumental role in
It does.
my journey so far. Yes.
It does. In fact, it has been great talking to you, Aparna. I hope that if you are in Delhi, we can host you someday. And I would love to meet you in person.
Absolutely.
Because, it was actually great talking to you, a person with very clear concepts and clarity of life. At your young age, I find less people having that. So it's actually a pleasure. I'm saying it from heart. I love my subject a lot. I don't praise people without them having. You can actually trust me on this. That when I talked to you, it was an exhilarating experience, because at your age, I normally expect people to talk different than what you talk. So you have a very wonderful mind, and I'm sure you will do great to Indian system. In your capacity. It was actually wonderful talking to you, Aparna.
Thank you so much, sir. You're very generous. They're very kind words. And it was a privilege meeting and talking to you also, finally. And I hope we can keep in touch. And I thank Next IS also for this opportunity to interact with you and the rest of the students.
And were you a part of it? Just asking you this, we can cut off or edit also. But were you a part of Next IS IGP also, Aparna? Interview guidance program?
Interview guidance. I think I had one mentorship call with IGP, but I could not take any mocks because I was based out of Kerala and I could not take any offline mocks.
Right.
And unfortunately, I could not. I would have, but I think at some point I had to cut short on the mocks because it was getting a little overwhelming also.
No, that's another very correct thing you say, that end of the day, too many mocks can also maybe put confusion in the mind rather than clarity. And that's actually right. No doubt about it. So great, Aparna. In fact, in my optional course, there are 4 or 5 people from Kerala. In fact, 6, if I can recall correctly. I'm sure they'll be inspired greatly by you. And India gets inspired by people like you. In fact, I'm a firm believer that women should be on top. Because they deserve it, not for any kind of charity. And I have the biggest pillar of my life have been women, my mom, my wife. So seeing you on top is actually making me feel very good. And all the best. Have a great life. And I hope I can see you in person whenever you are in Delhi.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Thanks a lot. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Aparna. Bye-bye. Have a great life. Bye-bye. God bless you.
Thank you, sir. You too. Bye. Take care.
Thank you.